So you want to instantly up your sketch game. Here's 5 tips to keep in mind next time you open your sketchbook and get to sketching. Let's get right into it. My first technique is to think in shapes. You know, the first thing people see when they see your artwork isn't the amount of nose hairs your character has, it's usually the overall shape. They don't usually think about the details, and that's because the way we tend to see basic overall shapes to more detailed shapes to the most detailed stuff. Most people, when they want to make a drawing stand out more, is to go for more details, and I think going for more details isn't the right thing to do because most of the time people won't actually notice. One thing you can do to think in shapes more is when you're drawing from life, try to think of the thing in the most basic shape possible. So if you're drawing a portrait, try to exaggerate the proportions of their face so it's a more basic shape. Like Disney characters are just really stylized artwork. This should get you used to drawing in shapes, and it should just build the habit, and then over time it should be thoughtless and you shouldn't need to think about it anymore. Secret technique 2. Flow and rhythm. You know what makes people's art just pop at that extra amount is actually having a rhythm to it. Again, people think it's about the details. It's really not about the details. It's more about how does one line flow into the next. It's almost like a rhythm. Like it's not just artwork, it's a feeling, a vibe. One thing you can do to practice flow and rhythm is gesture drawings. So gesture drawings are these 15-second-ish artworks, and it's just about getting as much general detail as possible just so you can get the idea of the sketch and not actually about finishing the sketch. This should get you to think more in like flow. Because you have so little time to actually draw, there's no way you can go into details and finish it on time. Secret technique 3. When in doubt, think in silhouettes. A lot of people have troubles drawing things like hands because there's a lot of fingers and joints. Feet are also difficult. Sometimes poses can be really difficult. And I think the solution to that is just to think in silhouettes. When you have too many complex shapes, it's easier to think of it as one shape and then just think of the flow of that shape instead of thinking of a bunch of shapes together. One thing I like to do, because I like to draw with just pen, is I like to draw the silhouette first, and then I draw the main shapes within the silhouette, and then I start working on the smaller details. And I don't really go into the details until I finish the silhouette and the basic shapes. Secret technique number 4. What a lot of people get wrong with shading is that they shade too soft, and when you shade too soft, it's really hard to tell which direction the light is coming from. So I think you should try to be as defined as possible. Shade in blocks, get the most obvious shapes first, and then only when you get the most obvious shapes, you can start to make the more softer shades. And that way your shading should look a lot more natural when you sketch. One thing you can do to practice this is that you can look at some portraits on Pinterest and then just highlight the shape of the shadow in your drawings, and then just do that over and over again until you figure out the whole point of shading in blocks, and then you should become a pro. Secret technique number 5. One thing you can do to always improve at drawing is just keep it consistent. One thing I like to do to try to draw every day is just to reduce as much friction as possible between me and my sketchbook. So it's really easy just to pick it up and just start drawing. One thing you can do to keep it as frictionless as possible is just to keep your book always by your desk, or to just always have a pen on hand with your sketchbook in hand. If you have a purse you bring everywhere, just put your sketchbook in that purse. And then anytime you see something interesting, you can try drawing it. One thing I like to do that helps me draw every day is my version of the automatic drawing technique. It's where you think of one thing and then you think of supporting factors to build that. think of maybe, oh, I have this character, maybe I want him to be a warrior. Well, a warrior has armor, right? What kind of armor should he have? I'll give him a big samurai helmet, but it's really big, so how would he be able to realistically support that on his head? Maybe if I put some jet engines on it, then it makes sense. And then it's like, well, then why does he have jet engines? Maybe it's because the emperor he works for is some futuristic tech alien thing. And then you just build upon ideas like that in an interesting way that makes really unique drawings that just fill pages in your sketchbook.